Welcome to Secret Crime HQ, your ultimate destination for gripping true crime content. We uncover hidden truths, explore cold cases, expose criminal masterminds, and dive into the darkest corners of real life. Please like, share and comment. Subscribe. Leah Selena Souza, just 13 years old, lived with her mother, Laura, and her baby brother Michael in the quiet community of Cumberland Beach, Ontario. She was known as bright, kind, and full of promise, looking forward to the start of a new school year after summer break. But on Labor Day weekend, September 1, 1990, that promise was stolen forever. What should have been an ordinary Saturday night marking the end of summer instead became the night of one of Ontario's most brutal and haunting unsolved crimes, a case that continues to cast a shadow over the town more than 3 decades later. Cumberland Beach, a quiet residential and cottage community just north of Toronto, was the kind of place where families felt safe leaving their doors unlocked and children played outside until dark. It was a close-knit stretch of homes, more accustomed to the sounds of lapping water and summer barbecues than anything sinister. The Souza family had only just returned from a 6-week vacation, settling back into their familiar routine. That night, September 1, 1990, the house on Church Street was calm. Laura tucked herself into the bedroom with her infant son, Michael, while Leah, exhausted from the long day, curled up on the living room couch and drifted off to sleep. The phone was in working order. The doors were locked. Nothing suggested that danger lurked outside. Yet, before dawn, their world would be shattered forever. Sometime between 1:30 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., the safety of the Souza home was shattered. An intruder forced entry by smashing the glass of the back door, slipping into the quiet house while its occupants slept. Inside, the attacker first turned on Laura. She was savagely beaten into unconsciousness, left with catastrophic head injuries that would erase all memory of that night. In the bedroom, baby Michael remained untouched, sleeping soundly in his crib. Leah, however, was not spared. As she slept on the couch, the intruder overpowered her. She was sexually assaulted, then dragged outside into the backyard under the cover of darkness. There, in an act of unrelenting brutality, she was bludgeoned to death with a heavy metallic weapon, believed to have been a crowbar, pipe, or tire iron. By morning, the little town of Cumberland Beach would wake to horror beyond imagination. On the morning of September 1, a friend came by the Souza home to see Leah. What should have been an ordinary visit turned into a nightmare. Stepping into the backyard, the friend made a horrifying discovery: Leah's body lay lifeless on the ground. Inside the house, chaos told its own story. Laura was found gravely injured, barely clinging to life, her head wounds so severe that she would never remember the events of the night. The home itself was in disarray, the back door glass shattered, signs of a struggle visible, and the phone deliberately smashed to cut off any call for help. Police were immediately called. The Souza residence was sealed off, and the quiet community of Cumberland Beach was suddenly the scene of a brutal homicide investigation. From the moment police arrived, it was clear they were facing an unusually brutal and complex crime scene. The Souza home was torn apart, glass from the shattered back door scattered across the floor, furniture shifted, and the phone deliberately smashed. The precision of the attack suggested premeditation, yet the sheer violence pointed to rage. Detectives began piecing together what little they had. Laura, the only potential eyewitness, was left with such severe head trauma that she could not remember anything about the night, her memory of the attack erased forever. Baby Michael, unharmed, could offer no answers. Forensic teams searched for clues. The murder weapon was never recovered, though investigators believed Leah had been bludgeoned with a heavy metallic object, such as a crowbar, pipe, or tire iron. The backyard became a grim focal point. Blood evidence confirmed that Leah had been dragged outside after being attacked inside the home. Theories quickly emerged. Some suggested the attacker was a stranger passing through the area, others believed Leah or her family had been deliberately targeted. Yet despite interviews with neighbors, canvassing for witnesses, and reviewing known offenders in the region, no clear suspect surfaced. The challenges were immense. In 1990, DNA technology was still in its infancy, and while evidence was collected, much of it could not be processed with the sophistication available today. The smashed phone and lack of surviving witnesses only deepened the mystery. The case soon stalled, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. What haunted the community most was the seeming senselessness. Why spare the infant? Why bludgeon Leah so savagely? And why attack Laura with the intent to erase her memory of the night? In the wake of Leah's murder, police turned their attention to anyone who might have had motive, opportunity, or a history of violence in the area. One name stood out early: Brian Timothy Elson. Elson lived nearby, spending time at his grandmother's house not far from the Souza home. Just 4 months after Leah's killing, he was convicted of another shocking crime, the murder of 17-year-old Sandra Bannister. The similarities in brutality made investigators question whether Elson could also be responsible for Leah's death. He was interrogated repeatedly about the Cumberland Beach homicide. Elson denied any involvement, and despite intense scrutiny, police were unable to find enough evidence to charge him. To this day, no suspect has ever been conclusively tied to Leah Selina Sousa's murder. The case remains one of Ontario's most chilling unsolved homicides, haunted by the possibility that her killer walked free. From the very beginning, the investigation into Leah Sousa's murder was crippled by devastating obstacles. The only possible eyewitness, her mother, Laura, had her memory permanently erased by the head injuries she sustained in the attack. She could never describe the intruder, what happened in the house, or how the nightmare unfolded. The forensic trail was equally thin. No murder weapon was ever recovered, and the state of forensic science in 1990 meant that critical DNA evidence, if present, could not be processed as it would today. The smashed telephone destroyed any chance that Leah or Laura might have called for help, and robbed investigators of potential fingerprints. As the years turned into decades, time itself became the greatest enemy. Witnesses grew older, memories faded, and potential leads dried up. Whatever secrets that night held became harder and harder to uncover, leaving the case frozen in uncertainty. Though more than 3 decades have passed, the investigation into Leah Selina Sousa's murder has never been officially closed. The Ontario Provincial Police continue to treat it as an active cold case, determined that time alone should not shield the killer. Over the years, investigators have conducted more than 1,500 interviews, chasing down every possible lead. A standing $50,000 reward remains on offer for information leading to an arrest and conviction, a public reminder that justice for Leah is still being sought. To keep the case in the public eye, police have turned to periodic media appeals. Billboards have been posted, anniversary coverage has been renewed, and officers have repeatedly urged locals to come forward with anything, no matter how small, that might finally break the silence. The hope remains that with advances in forensic technology, or through the conscience of someone who knows more than they've admitted, the truth about what happened in Cumberland Beach on that Labor Day weekend in 1990 may one day be revealed. The murder of 13-year-old Leah Selina Sousa remains etched in Ontario's collective memory as one of the province's most violent and haunting unsolved crimes. What happened in the quiet cottage community of Cumberland Beach devastated a family, scarred a mother, and shattered the sense of safety in a small town that once felt untouched by such brutality. More than 30 years later, Leah is remembered not only as a bright young girl whose life was stolen far too soon, but also as the face of a case that continues to demand answers. Her story has become a sobering reminder of why cold case work matters, why evidence must be preserved, why appeals must be renewed, and why the hope of justice can never be allowed to fade. With every anniversary, with every new forensic breakthrough, the possibility remains that Leah's killer could one day be unmasked, and that a family and a community still haunted by that September night might finally find some measure of peace.